What an amazing turnout. Thank you guys so much for being here. It's fun to see you guys, it's fun to see Father and Paul's recognize the opportunities for everyone. We were hoping tonight to have this program outside, but the extreme temperatures got us scared and got us to be inside. Welcome everyone to the World Center for Birds of Prey. Let's see if we can get let's have folks either come on in or maybe quiet down just a little bit. Thanks so much. My name is Kate Mason, Director of the World Center for Birds of Prey, and I am so impressed by the turnout tonight. Far exceeded our imagination for this event. Now, one of the things that I love about working with the Peregrine Fund, and I've been with the Peregrine Fund now for 13 years, is I love being around inspired people. People that want to make a positive difference and are making a difference through their ambition, through their creativity, through their kindness. And so that embodies the Peregrine Fund staff, it embodies the volunteers that are here tonight helping this operation happen, and it embodies the artists that we've collaborated with for the Art with Impact Gallery. Now, first, I would like to thank Kara Fowler from Precept Wines. Kara, are you back there? Kara has volunteered the catering, has volunteered the bar service. She heard about this event and flew in from Minnesota for it. Got the wine donated from St. Chabelle. And then we also got the beer donated from Payette Brewing. So let's hear it for Payette. Now, two people that are not here tonight that I have to recognize is Marcia and Bob Ross. Now, the Marcia and Bob Ross Gallery is our gallery space at the World Center for Birds of Prey here in this building. And it used to be a presentation space, but then we built this space. And that presentation space was no longer necessary. And so we had the idea to turn it into an art gallery. And we had the idea to partner with artists and display their work and lift the artists up. And this gallery has turned that on its head and said the artists are going to lift the Peregrine Fund up. And so that's a pretty cool thing that has happened because of us having that gallery. The gallery was built by Marcia and Bob Ross. They funded it. Marcia is a longtime volunteer and supporter of the Peregrine Fund, kind of the fairy godmother of the Interpretive Center for the last 20 years. And her husband is Bob Ross, not related to the artist. People come into that gallery all the time and say, "Where's Bob Ross's stuff?" Different Bob Ross. So the Peregrine Fund is in its 56th year. We've had some amazing successes. The Asian vulture crisis, identifying diclofenac as the reason for the catastrophic declines in vultures across Asia and Africa. Of course, the recovery of the peregrine falcon. The recovery of the Mauritius kestrel from just 4 individual birds. The California condor, 22 individual birds in the 1980s, up over 600 now. The Puerto Rican sharp-shinned hawk reached a low of, Melissa, help me out, 17 birds. I saw one of our biologists from that project here, but she stepped out. And it just had an awesome breeding season this year. Our team's working in Puerto Rico. They're also in the Dominican Republic, working with the critically endangered Ridgway's hawk. And we have ecosystem-wide efforts in Madagascar, in Panama, and in Eastern Africa, also in Arizona and Utah. Now, the Peregrine Fund recently looked at our 56 years and said, what are the common threads that have led to success? Not all of the Peregrine Fund's projects have been successful, but what led to success when we did achieve it? And we distilled 7 principles. Now we're calling those 7 principles complete conservation. First is the evidence to action. So we use science, we collect the evidence, and then we do something about it. So we do the science and we do the conservation, if you will. We are nonpartisan. We are not a litigious organization. We don't sue anybody. We bring everybody to the table, figure out the issue, and solve it. So nonpartisanship and collaboration is important, bringing all of those partners to the table. There's a really awesome collaboration happening tonight here. Community-based conservation. Wherever we work around the world, we are an integral part of that community and oftentimes led from that community. For example, in Madagascar, our Madagascar project is all run by Malagasis and almost all funded from within Madagascar. So we went in, collaborated with the right people that cared about the Madagascar fish eagle, for example, cared about the forests and the lakes and the ecosystems, and we empowered them with the scientific knowledge, with the education, to be able to create just a powerhouse of a conservation effort, which has resulted in 4 national parks in Madagascar. I just hinted a little bit at the 4th pillar, and that is conservation leadership. Wherever we go, we are empowering people to take the lead in conservation. A great example of that is here, and the 24 high school students that we just spent the summer with, and they were in a program called Raptor High. And Raptor High is in the 11th or 12th year, and all of these students that have come through Raptor High got that really interesting experience to put on their college entrance exams and stuff like that. Conservation leadership, we call that. Thought leadership is another one. We innovate conservation techniques and we share them. We've published over 4,000 scientific articles. And so that's a huge effort, a huge credit to our science team. Now, we oftentimes think about species, and the species are super important. Condor, peregrine, the whiteback vulture. But it is the ecosystem that the animals rely on that is key to their sustainable conservation. So we call our last pillar the species to ecosystem continuum. It's the species that we care about, of course, but it's the ecosystem upon which we all rely. Raptors are top-level predators. They're indicators of the health of the environment, and they are on top of the food chain. Humans are on top of the food chain as well. So we share a lot in common with our needs to have a healthy environment. So that's a little bit about the why of the Peregrine Fund. Now, we are honored to host the Art with Impact Gallery. It was a project that was conceived and developed by Kathy Jordan. Kathy is such a wonderful person. She's a mixed media artist, specializing in India ink, etching, as well as painting with oils and acrylics. Her art has taken her around the world, doing works for the Singapore Zoo, the Los Angeles Zoo, Hong Kong Ocean Park. Never been there. Her passion, though, is birds of prey. And as a 30-year resident of Boise, she's created portraits of several of the resident raptors right here at the World Center for Birds of Prey. Now, she came to us about a year ago with a fairly novel idea that the art should lift up the conservation efforts. I was part of the instigating of this gallery, and I was like, we could lift up the artists. We could make sure that there's a funding source for artists. Kathy turned that on her head and said, nope, artists are going to help you and save species. She's very well connected in the community. She put her ideas into action, and we're honored to host this reception tonight. Now, on her art, you'll see a signature, C.C. Wari. Seeing as that could not be short for Kathy Jordan, I asked her what the acronym meant. I'm going to invite her to tell that story, introduce a few of the artists, and tell us a little bit more about the Art with Impact Gallery. Kathy Jordan.
Well, thank you. Welcome to the World Center for Birds of Prey. I'm so thrilled that you guys all came out because the organization is just stunning, and I will get to Lori in a second. But there's so many options for how we can contribute to our environment, to our world, and I just felt like right now, just to use an example, there's a huge crisis in Africa. The vultures are dying, and they're dying at rates of like 99%. I mean, we've lost three.
Three species of vultures that declined by 95 to 99% in 10 years.
In 10 years. And the vultures play a really important part in our ecosystems. They are, well, they clean up the environment. They remove the carcasses that are out there, and without them, diseases spread. And diseases, as we know from 2019, spread from Africa to America to the entire world. And without these marquee species at the top of that chain, it funnels down to us. So we might think, oh, this is a raptor, and you know, it probably doesn't have that much of an impact. Oh, it does. It has a huge impact because it's at the top of that food chain. And so, for me, I love scratchboard, I love art, and I have quite a bit of it in my closet. And I was like, why is this in the closet? And I came to Tate, and I'm like, I've got all this art in my closet, and I want to do something with it, and I want to figure out a way to give back. And I thought, you know, nothing against galleries, I love galleries, but a lot of times you pay 100% markup when you go to a gallery. And I thought, what if we created a website where artists could donate their work, we print their work, and we offer it to the public. And that way they know if they come to our organization, we just cover our printing costs, our clerical costs, and then everything left goes to the Peregrine Fund. And so that way you could come to us and know that you're contributing. And so that's the format. And we're already getting calls from more artists that want to be a part of it. So we're really, really excited about that and expanding so that even if you can't make it like to this event, people that I know that couldn't make it, they can go on the website and still purchase the art, and it still has the same effect as being here. So, CC Worry. I was Kathy Connor before I met my wonderful husband Jay, and became Kathy Jordan. And I had a really wild experience. I was doing the White House Ruin, which is an Indian ruin, and it is at Canyon de Chelly in Arizona. And I hiked down in the canyon, shot it with my camera, and then came back up the canyon and was looking at earrings. And this Zuni Indian woman looked at me and said, "You're an artist." And I had the camera like slung over my shoulder, and I was like, well, yeah, I am. And she said, "Your name is Worry." And I was sort of like, what? and I said, "What does that mean in Zuni?" And she answered that with, "You'll know when the time comes." And I was like, okay, this is, yeah. And I went on with life, and I went home, and I never forgot the experience. And I was completing that work, the Canyon de Chelly piece of the White House Ruin, and I had a dream that night. And in the dream, I heard where life reflects and has the power to illuminate. And I woke up with where art reflects and illuminates, not knowing that it was Worry. It was just repeating in my head. over and over and over. And it's like, oh my God, that's boring. Okay. And then I was like, okay. If you're willing to go to that much trouble, I will be worried. So I have been back to Canyon de Chelly. I've never seen her again. And she was definitely an elder. So anyway, we are so honored to be here. This is such an amazing organization, and like I said, there are so many places that we can put our money nowadays, I mean, where you're hoping to help, but to me, these guys are at the cutting edge. They are, I mean, so integral in the survival of so many species, and when you look back over the years, I mean, my gosh, 57 years, and the peregrine, I mean, how much do we love the peregrine? And they're the reason that they're here. The condors. I went up when I was 17. I had no idea why this person was dragging me up this ungodly dirt road in the Sierra Nevada to Mount Pinos. I was 17 years old, and they said, we're looking at those birds up there flying. And there were 24 left at the time. And I thought, this is the only time I'm going to see this. And that's what got me hooked. I mean, and then my husband's family is from Arizona, so we drive past Vermilion 3 or 4 times a year. And the fact that they're released at Vermilion, so I had tears in Sierra Nevada, and then I had tears again at Vermilion, you know, seeing them again. And just the thought to being down to 22. And then you look at the organization, and the organization has repeated that again and again and again and again. They are at the forefront. And to me, it's like, that's where I want my money. So, and my effort to try to make a difference. So I'm hoping that that's the calling. That is also the calling for these wonderful artists that are already a part of this. There's 6 of us. And Danielle O'Callahan, where are you? She's back here hiding. Come here. Come here.
It's full
Yeah. Was the resident artist for the Phoenix Zoo for over like 30 years, and a very well-known artist down in Arizona. And she passed away a little while ago, but we have her prints here as well, and she also was very passionate about birds of prey. So it turned out that within our family, we had all of this bird of prey art. And then I've got a couple of really, really good friends, Kathy Wiffler and Johnny Vaughn. And Johnny did the condors. And I know I'm not supposed to go long, but I went to Johnny. I went to Johnny and I was like, Johnny, I think I might want a giant condor for this art show that I'm doing. And he is sold, I mean, all over. He's a very well-known artist. And sure enough, he called me back and he said, if you'll buy the canvas, I'll paint it. And I was like, okay. And so we drove to Oregon because he's on the Oregon coast to pick it up and brought it back in our pickup. And he named it Condor Magnifico. And so that is Condor Magnifico in the gallery. And we had to stop a few times because he tried to take the stuff that was dead on the side of the road. But we eventually made it safely. But they're amazing artists. Kathy Wiffler is in like 27 museums. She's in the National Wildlife Art Museum. And her prints are in there as well. So we're already having amazing artists donate to it. And I'm just so proud of all of us. So, so please enjoy. And if something calls to you, we hope you take it home. So, thank you very much.
That's exactly what I mean about being around inspiring people and the opportunities that we have here. So thank you guys all for coming out tonight. Let's make sure there's no food or drink left at the end of the evening. And here's Kara Fowler. Kara is integral to the food and the drink at this event.
I'm sorry, we need to thank Kara, because Kara was the one that is just so fabulous and amazing. She heard about this event and said, I will get all the wine donated for you. And I didn't know her at the time. I looked at her and I was like,
I didn't know her either.
and she did. St. Chappelle donated all the money. And
So I work for Precept Wine, so it's www.preceptwine.com. We actually are a privately owned and held company out of the Pacific Northwest. We are amazing landowners and land stewards. We give back. We give back to the Forestry Project with every bottle that we sell. We plant a tree, so one tree planted. And just a lot of the things with my company that I've been with for a long time aligned with the beliefs of the people in Idaho and here. So thank you. And if you see, if you look on our website, go out and support me. There's a ton of our wines in St. Cloud, Albertsons. I was just there. It's so nice to be outside of the Pacific Northwest. It's a little bit harder to sell my wines in the Midwest where I'm at, so it's nice to see them. And Gigi's Garden, buy a bottle of it. It's really good. And support St. Chappelle. Always support local. So thank you guys, and I appreciate it.
AF Brewing donated all the beer. Albertsons made donations. 8th Street Marketplace made donations. So it is a community effort, wanting to do as much as we can for them.
Thank you guys.
Thank you, everyone.